Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. People may join, but basically, we're going to try to knock this issue out. We're starting a little early today, just because things will start to get crazy at 5 o'clock in the house. And I may change these up next week to do them um, Monday through Thursday from 9 to 10, because that is really when it's the most quiet here. And I think we'll get better results out of that. Um, so we're nearing the completion of this new enhancement for the bulk endpoint for the data API. And what we want to do is just deal with some particular kind of edge cases with, you know, um, handling input, basically making it safer and more predictable. So we need to kind of handle if error cases, handle if the, let me tab, okay. Um, Database name is blank, or database name, database is not found, right? And uh, empty list of documents. Basically, if there's no documents, there's no bulk add, but maybe someone might try to pass that. Handle a list of non-objects. Like instead of objects, someone passes 1, 2, 3, 4, which can't really do much with that. And then um, handle a list of objects without an ID. Um, and and just pass like hello world or something like that. So those are the cases we want to just handle in our um, implementation. And let's see, we've got our pull request. It's processed. So what we want to do is start on this and pull down main, and then check out a new feature branch and really manage these error cases. So let's pop over here and go to the project. And I'm probably going to break out that function because yesterday I was like moving up and down the files, and I'm going to break out the function into a separate file so we don't have to do so much moving around. Check out main, get pull origin main. Sure. Okay, we got all of our new pouch stuff. So we're gonna get check out a new branch, and we'll just call this add bulk pouch DB errors. That, and we'll go into our packages and our adapter pouch DB and do our test. Make sure everything is passing. Cool. And like I said, we'll probably just break this function out, maybe put it in a lib folder. So we'll just make a directory lib and just call this bulk.js and go into adapter.js, and we'll just import bulk not lib bulk that, and that'll make it easier to just deal with because we're having to bounce back and forth. All this stuff, and it's kind of painful. So let's start here, grab all of this. Right there, and go to lib bulk.js, and we'll paste it. Now we need to bring in a bunch of Lambda. So let's go back in our adapter, and let's just grab all that. Okay. And now we're just going to, let's just make sure we know we need a soc. We know we need compose. We know we need find. We know we're using filter and identity and has and lens and map. Pretty sure we're using map. Yep. Merge. I don't know if we're using merge. Omit. We know we're doing that. Over. Pick. I don't think we're using pick. Pluck. We are. Prop. I'm sure we are. Prop equals. I don't think we are. And because we're not using path now, we can just do require Lambda. It's a little easier. Okay, so now that we have this as a separate file, we'll want to create a separate test. Let's do this. And we'll need to export that function down here. So it'll be module.exports, we'll bulk documents. Okay. And then in our adapter.js, we bring in bulk, and now we can just say bulk documents, bulk, put that down there, and we can get rid of all this. Nice. I feel so much better. Okay. Let's see if our tests still pass. Okay, R is not defined. So now we can just call path. And lens path is not defined. So let's pull that in. I think I deleted something. Okay, database is not defined. Cool. Okay, so that's one that we need to pass in. So with this function, we need databases injected, right? So let's just write this differently so it reads better. And we'll get databases, and then we'll get our DB docs and do our thing. Okay. Okay. A sync is not defined. That's cool. Awesome. So we've got this kind of moved over right now. And what, let's go ahead and move over our test. Uh, well, yeah, that would probably be good. Let's see. On. Um, so we got this test, and I think it's up at the top. Yeah, let's just copy that, handle these other cases. That'll be the easiest. Okay. So what if I, for some reason, did that? Right now, we could default it to a string. So we could go in and just default this to a string. So that's good. And then we know if it's blank, right? If the string is blank, or we could, yeah, we'll just default it as string. So that way, no matter what, it's going to return that. So if DB equals a blank string, there's not much we can do, right? So what we can do is return promise dot reject, okay, false, message, DB not defined. Right? Okay, so don't need to do that. Okay. So we want to say not okay. And we could probably just, catch error. And then Return error. Wait. DB not defined. Want me to remove a document? Read property bulk docs of undefined. So I'll probably, maybe I didn't save this. Okay, so let's see. We still are doing that. So let's see what our DB's coming in as. Coming in as null. So I guess it, since it's explicitly said it's null, it's not defaulting to blank. So I guess if it was undefined, it would be. So let's handle that case. And it's null. Um, and actually, let's handle both is null and is undefined. I can do that by just pulling in a is nil. And then we can just say is nil. That way it'll just check if it's null or undefined. Let's do that. Cool. And that passed. So that'll handle that case. And now what if we want to handle basically the database is not found, right? So if I pass in a database and it doesn't exist, what's going to happen? So let's go to our test and then copy this. Okay. So we'll just call this foo. And if we run that, okay, we get can't read bulk docs of undefined. So what we want to do is check and say if pouch is nil, right? And we want to return promise reject. Okay, false message DB not found. Okay. And then if we run our test, we should get, okay, is DB not found. Cool. So that's that. Now, what about a empty list of documents? So let's try that. Okay. So we want our database, so we'll need to create a database test. We'll do all of that and okay. Okay. Hold on a second. So we'll be moving these next week to the morning because that's just crazy. Kids are crazy and they're having fun. But, okay, so we created a database, and what we want to do in this case is pass an empty list of documents. So instead of all of these guys, we're just going to pass an empty list, and we'll use db name, and we don't need to create a document for this test case. Okay, and we'll say t okay. Well, we don't want it to be okay. Result dot okay. Or is it okay? Should it be okay? Probably. Maybe it's just okay in an empty array. So results. And maybe we should do like a deep equal here. And if we run a test, okay. All right, so basically there's nothing to do. It's just going to return true with an empty array. And then we need to say, what if it's an array of non-objects? So um, let's handle that. Let's update this. Okay, so we will change this to 1, 2, 3. Let's see what this does. Okay, at least it blows up. That's good. Um, okay, deep equal, it's an empty array. So basically it came back with an empty array, which is probably pretty good. There's probably no need to check that. So let's, well, yeah, expected 1, 2, 3, and actual, it's an empty array. Let's see, I don't know if that's right. Yeah, I just did it wrong. Okay. So it added the documents and generated IDs. Kind of interesting. My guess is that it would have, I don't know. Let's see what it did. Okay, so we will do an await adapter dot list documents, and list documents will take a db name. Let's see what list documents takes. Yeah, so we can just give it a db name and do all console log r. Yep, so it just creates a bunch of empty documents. Maybe we don't want to do that. Let's see. Maybe we do a check, I guess. Let's see. We check and say here, ram.js. So we could check the first one and see if the first one is an object. So we've got like this is check, and see if it's an object. And if it's not an object, we throw it back. So that's probably what we'll do here. And that'll take care of both of those. Is we want to move over to CouchDB and see if we can get that knocked out as well. So if docs and docs sub 0 is object, we'll reject false. Okay. And let's see how that goes. So I'll probably say I don't have is defined. Is defined. Okay. Not okay. And p dot equal result dot message equals documents must be objects. Okay. Okay, that's good. But the empty array is not happy. So if we send an empty array, it's gonna say that it's not objects, which is probably a better result. Again, really shouldn't be sending an empty array. So and so we could go through and think of some other edge cases, but I think this is enough now. I think this gives you a good demonstration of what we need to do in the basis of time. So we've got our bulk. Let's get that checked in. So we will need a new version patch. Anything we need to add? We need to add bulk in there, right? There we go. Okay, so we added our bulk in there. Tests are passing. We'll Git commit. Um, added more tests for error cases. And we'll push that up to add bulk, couchdb errors. Cool. And we'll create a PR. And we'll check out main. Okay. While that test is running, what we're going to do now is switch over to CouchDB. So I'm going to just go ahead and check out CouchDB. Say add bulk to CouchDB adapter. Okay, so we've got the same pattern. Let's just go ahead and make a directory lib and add bulk.js to that. And let's make sure all our tests pass. So package JSON. Okay. Adapter is misspelled. So all our tests are running. We've got our bulk JS file in there. And let's look at our adapter JS. I think this one's using a sync. So we're gonna pull in bulk acquire lib bulk JS. And we'll come down here and say bulk documents. And we'll just say bulk for right now. So when the DBs pass, so since this is CouchDB, we'll have this config origin. That'll be kind of our database route. And then we'll have the DB name and then our command. And this is all using fetch. So that'll be fun. So we'll probably want to pass the config origin. Definitely want that. And headers. Where's headers? Probably want to pass that too. That'll give us what we need. Let's write our test. Bulk documents. Okay, so we're going to call adapter bulk documents, and we'll give it a DB. So we can say hello. Looks like that's what we're using. And then docs. Okay. And then we're going to want back. Okay, true. And then results. Um, dot length equals 2. Okay, that's a good first start. Okay, cool. Bulk is not a function, so we'll go lib bulk.js, and then we'll just start our node mon and adapter test -q -x clear and node. Okay. The first thing we'll do is just module exports equals, and we'll take our DB, and we'll take as the URL we'll just call couch URL and headers. And then we're going to take DB and docs, right? And then we'll go ahead and just return a promise dot resolve. Okay, true. Docs. Cool. And let's see what we got. Property can't be, it's results, right? Let's see. Yep. Okay, cool. So we're done. We implemented our CouchDB. So we need to basically do a lot of the stuff that we were doing before. So go to the code, and what I'll do is just pop this over to the side so I can kind of look at it. Um, So we basically need to, kind of grab the IDs, get the docs that exist, merge with revs, switch. So a lot of this stuff we need to duplicate, but instead of using like the PouchDB API, we're going to use the fetch API to do that. But first things first is we'll do um, a sync of, and we'll take the docs, and then we're gonna just get their IDs, right? So pluck IDs, and we'll always return to promise. And we'll get it pluck from Ramna, and we'll get a sync from Crocs. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and comment everything but our test. Comment out everything but the test that we want to pass so we can kind of see what's going on. There we go. And pluck IDs is not defined. Okay. So let's define it. Okay. Cool. So we pluck the IDs. Let's open up our test. And just console log result and TK false. So it will always be failing. Let's just turn this to true. So then we're able to see what's going on. Cool. So we plucked our IDs. we had ID 1 and 2, and we get ID 1 and 2. So that's good. And the next thing we want to do is we want to get the docs that exist. So let's look at that function. Get docs that exist. And what it's doing is we want to do a sync fetch, right? So we'll need the URL and the headers, URL and headers, and then we'll need um, the IDs, right? And then what we want to do is a sync fetch, and we'll take that URL and say slash all docs where keys equals, and we want to give it a URL encoded uh, set of arrays or set of IDs. And I think it's like URI encode, I think. Encode URI. So we'll say encode URI, and we'll pass it our IDs uh, like that. I think that'll work. And that'll return us all the documents, and it will have just um, just the key, and then in the value we'll have the rev ID, right? So we just need to do a get and pass in the headers. Don't need to pass in a body. So that's our fetch. And then that's going to give us a response, and we need to convert that to JSON. We'll call to JSON. And then we need to grab the rows and then filter the value. So all the docs that have a value node, and then we'll get all the revs, and that's where we do our swap act, right? So that means we need prop has filter and a sync fetch is um, sync from promise, and then we'll take fetch, and fetch is kind of global, so it's just provided for us through our, or it should be, we'll find out, but that's how it should be. And then to JSON, get a response object, and then we want to convert that into a sync and a sync from a promise. So the JSON function will bind that to rest so we get the right instance, and then we'll execute that. And that should be our to JSON. Then we get prop rows, filter, has value, xrev. So let's start with that. And fetch is not defined. Cool. Okay. So what we want to do is take this fetch and assign it globally so that it will use this sandbox feature. So really, this should be global this dot fetch, and then we want to take our adapter and actually require it after all of our mocks. Right there. Cool. Okay. So if we call all docs, we get rows and we get the value, and it's actually, I think that's a post. Where's a get all docs? Should be very similar. Okay, so we hadn't called it yet, so let's go ahead and call it. So we pluck the IDs, and then we chain, because it's going to return a sync, get docs that exist, and we'll call with couch URL and headers. And let's see what we get now. Okay. Cool. So there's not a match for the couch DB all docs get keys 1 and 2. I think I need to. I think that's all right. Yeah, yep, that's all right. Status 200, and body will be okay, true. Rows, and we'll say key 1. Value, we're not including the doc, so we'll do rev 1. That key 2. Rev 2. Oh, rev 1. Okay. Okay, so it's matching, match that URL, including the query string. Query string. Keys equals 1, comma 2. All docs slash hello. Okay, so it's not including the DB name. Getting there. All right. So we've got our array coming back, and we'll just do the xrevs and kind of call it a day because we're right at the 1 hour point. So we'll do our xrevs function, and this function, we're going to basically take the rev out of the value and give us a rev ID and rev array, right? I think that's correct. Um, so we're gonna compose and omit key and value. And I think these come back with ID 1 and ID 2, like that. And we're gonna omit key and value and do an over with our lens rev that we have to create and identity. Okay, so we'll create a lens rev, which will equal lens path value rev. Rev. Okay. So now it's going to be asking me for all this stuff. Lens map path soch sock omit okay, so we got identity, we got over, almost there. I think that might be it. Identity, over, omit, compose. How can I miss compose? Okay, let's see what we got. And there we go. So we got our ID and wet rev. Very cool. So we're making progress. I'm going to go ahead and close this out and work on implementing the rest of the stuff, and then we'll start something new on Monday, and we will probably stream Monday morning. Thanks for joining, and have a great day.